All right, so we're continuing from where we stopped in the last video. In this video, we're starting from the different types of scripts that there are. Okay, and we're going to look at different ways to categorize scripts. How, why, and how do you need to know this? Because you'll get given a lot of assignment, writing projects and assignments, and you need to be able to figure in your head what you're doing, where you are, and what exactly it is you're doing. The moment there is a formula to what you're doing, it becomes so much easier to finish and deliver the project, which is the reason why every project should have a brief, meaning this is what you're doing, this is what you're delivering, this is what we're expecting. Without that communication of what is expected, you just meander. You don't exactly know what it is you're doing. Okay, so this is supposed to help not figure out the brief, but such that when you get a brief, you know exactly what it is you're supposed to deliver. Okay, so let's look at the different types of scripts that there are. Let's start from formats. We're categorizing scripts based on formats. Okay, so you can have a script can be an animated project, it can be live action, and it can be hybrid. Animation are animated films done using either 2D animation, 3D animation, and with the advent of AI, there's also AI animation. Okay, animation is a little different from live action. What is live action? Let's come to number two. Live action. Live action is when a film uses people like your regular everyday people, carry camera, shoot. That's live action. If it is animated, 2D animation, 3D animation, cartoon animation, that's animation. And then the third is hybrid, which is a mix between um, live action and cartoon animation. Films like Tom and Jerry, the newly released Tom and Jerry, Space Jam, and quite a number of films like that. Okay, let's move on quickly. Number two is yeah. For each of these categories, there is an exercise. So what's the exercise for this? Make a list of 3 films in each category. So the previous exercise we got, what was that exercise again? Let's see. Yeah. So the first exercise we got was for you to choose a specific time when you will write. Okay. So next off, the second assignment is make a list of 3 films in each of this category. Meaning, list 3 animated films, 3 live action films, and 3 hybrid films. Moving on, duration. Okay, films can be categorized based on their duration. Now, we're beginning to enter the space where it makes sense to us. Now, a film can be a short film or it can be a feature length film. A short film is any film that is 40 minutes or shorter. A feature length film is any film that is 60 minutes or longer. Most of what we call our regular movies are feature length movies, or we just call them features. I'm not sure if I'm getting the pronunciation correct. Me, I studied pure and applied mathematics. Okay, I didn't study English, so my permit my so is a feature. Is it future film of no? It's a feature, not a future. It's not a future film. It's a feature film. I think I got that right. Feature. Yeah. So based on duration, a film can be a short film or it can be a feature length film. If it's a short film, it's 40 minutes or shorter. Now here's the trick to shorts. That's the way we call them shorts. We'll be writing a lot of shorts in this program. And there's a secret to shorts. The shorter a short film is, the better. Okay, so let me come back to the mindset of audiences. You see that we keep coming back to audiences. Okay, when I referred to you as a content creator, remember, and I said the earlier you start thinking as one, the better, because most of your content, most of your films, most of the material you write will be presented side by side with materials from content creators. And audiences don't know which is which, they just consume content. So if I'm watching a skit and the skit is just 60 seconds, okay, let me rewind now. So I was talking about audiences and their mindsets, and it starts from here. There's a mindset you bring to the table if you want to watch a feature, a feature length film, something that is very long. You sit down, you relax, you rest your back, you change the TV channel, probably even have popcorn, say you're at the cinemas, and you know that you're going for a ride. You know, that mindset is different from you on your phone and you're scrolling and you're just looking for something to engage you, something to, spend this bit of time on. While you're scrolling, the moment you see something 30 minutes, 40 minutes, sharp, sharp, you don't scroll pass. Except if you know the creator, you are invested in that person, and you want to see what that person has made. Other than that, you're just scrolling, you see something you don't know before now, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. No, let me ask you, what would you do? You're scrolling on your phone and you see a film, you see a content, any material, and it's 30 minutes. Would you stay and like, let me see what's inside first? And most people who snack on content like this, they either are doing it in a bus while they're commuting, either are doing it with spare time they have while they're doing, everyday stuff and things like that. So they don't have so much time. They just want something short enough to fit in this small bit of time I have, or preferably if I can watch like 3, 4, 5 different short stuff in this small time. That's the way most of the audience think. So if you're doing a short film, if you're writing a short film, the shorter your short film, the better. If it's a feature-length film, by all means, take your time. I don't know if I communicated. And then there's a second aspect to it. We'll be writing short films, and a lot of our short films fall in the category of what we call micro short films, meaning they are just about 60 seconds thereabouts. Question is why? Why would you, if you can, why would you even want to write a 60 seconds short film? Simple. When you just start off, you want as much experience as possible. And understanding the fact that what you write, the script you write, is a raw material. Though it is your finished product, but it is still first and foremost raw material for filmmakers to turn into a film. And unless you see the material you have written, listen to this now. Writing is meaningless. Writing 24 scripts is meaningless if you've never seen anything you have written on the screen before. The true judge of am I writing something sensible or am I writing rubbish is when what you have written has been shot into a film and you're watching it on the screen and you can see how your material translates to the screen and it is still making sense on the screen. Aha! Now, even you can write with confidence. You've written something, they've shot it, and it makes sense as a film on the screen. Now, you have renewed confidence in your writing process and in your craft, and you can write and continue to write like that. But you've written stuff and none of it has ever been made to the film before. To a film before. You don't know whether what you're writing makes sense or doesn't. You're running on imagination, and like they say, imagination won't wound me. You don't want imagination to wound you. You want to be able to write stuff, and the stuff you write is short. You see it on the screen, and then you're confident in your craft. The easiest way to do that is to write something very, very short that in a month max after you've written it, it can be shot into a film. Either you get your friends together, you shoot it with your phone. Either you get someone who's committed to what you do, who chooses to write the material, or something like that, such that in very little time after you've written it, you can see what you've written on the screen. It's easier for you to even connect with your craft that way. I don't know if I'm making sense. So that's the reason why over the course of this project, this training period, you'd write a lot of materials and there will be short films, micro short films, 60 seconds or less, or max 90 seconds, such that you can write it, we can film it, you can see it, and you can grow in your craft. I think I've flogged that enough also. So you can categorize script based on the duration of the film. A film can be a short film or a feature-length film. Okay. Next is by genre. Films can be categorized by the genre they fall in. representing the overarching theme or style. Common genres include drama, which is 90% of the films we make in Nigeria. Almost every film done in Nigeria is a drama, or it could be a comedy, which is the other kind of films we make in Nigeria. Action film. Some people are beginning to make some action films. Okay, carry gun, shoot, but we know there are few. Okay, horror is not common. You have science fiction, you have romance, and a couple of other genres. Okay, now some films may fall into multiple genres, e.g., a romantic comedy, or a sci-fi horror, or a action fantasy, or some other grouping and combination like that. Okay, and the exercise for this section is make a list of 3 films in each genre and a list of 5 films that fall into multiple genres. Let me explain so that you don't say that you don't know the assignment. 1, make a list of 3 films in each genre. So drama, give us a list of 3 films that fall in the drama genre, 3 that are comedy, 3 that is action films, 3 horror films, 3 science fiction films, 3 romantic films, right? And then a list of films, of 5 films that fall into multiple genres. So a romantic 5 films that can either be a romantic comedy. So you write the name of the film and then you write the multiple genres they fall in. So the film can be a romantic comedy, it can be action sci-fi, it can be a horror sci-fi, etc, etc. All right. Next category is nationality or origin. Films can be grouped based on their country of region or origin. Different countries have different distinct cinematic function traditions, different cinematic styles, and they have different storytelling approaches. For instance, you might have Hollywood films, Bollywood films, French New Wave films, Japanese cinema, Nollywood, etc, etc. Now, there's something funny, something I should point out about this. The first Nigerian film that would have been nominated for Best Foreign Film, that would have been nominated for an Academy Awards. You should be aware of awards, international foreign awards for films. The Academy Awards is the #1 award in the world. And a Nigerian film could have been the first Nigerian film to be nominated, not even win, nominated in the Best Foreign Film category. That would have been Lionheart. What's her name? Genevieve Nnaji's film. The reason why it did not make the cut was because it is expected that for a film to be nominated into the Best Foreign Film category, it has to be a film made in a foreign land and they speak the language of that land, meaning it's made in a foreign language. Duh. Now, you make a film, it is primarily made in English. So that's how and why it did not fit into that category. If most of the film were made in Igbo language or something, the film would have qualified for Best Foreign Language Film, Best Foreign, whatever the category is. So yeah, films being categorized by nationality or origin is also a thing. Keep that in mind. And you could write scripts that specifically play to that category. Yeah, because like I said, you have to approach your craft as a content creator. That means looking for gaps that nobody has filled so that you can fill that gap and be recognized as a trendsetter because of that gap that you have identified. Think about it. You can also group films based on the time period. Okay, so a film, you have contemporary films, you have classic films, and a film from a specific era, e.g., the silent film era, the golden age of Hollywood, or modern era. Assignment, you don't need to write this, but research into these 3 periods of filmmaking. There's a time called the silent film era, when films were made without sound, films in the 1920s, etc., before they found out a way to incorporate sound into film recording. Okay, and then there's the golden age of cinema in Hollywood. And then there is modern era, which is where we are. Just research into it. Understand more about your craft. There's a section dedicated to something like that. I'll get to it in a minute. Okay, and then by target audience, another way to categorize films. Films are often created with specific audiences in mind. Categories may include children's films, family-friendly films, teen movies, adult-oriented films, or films intended for a niche audience. That does not require any explanation. Films can also be categorized based on their budget, the production budget. Okay, so you have low budget independent films, or mid budget films, or high budget blockbuster films. And the one you're writing for will determine how you write it. Again, films can be categorized both based on their narrative structure. Yeah. For example, you have non-linear narrative films. An example, one of the best examples, is any film made by Christopher Nolan. For example, his first film, Memento. You should go and watch that film, Memento. And his latest film, I think Tenet is the last film he made. Has he made any film after Tenet? Watch everything Christopher Nolan makes. Most of his films are non-linear narratives. And then you have documentaries, you have mockumentaries. A mockumentary is a film that looks like a documentary, but it is a fake documentary, meaning most of it is acted, choreographed, stylized. It's essentially a way to just make fun of a certain subject matter by presenting it as if it's a documentary, whereas it's a fake documentary. So it's a bridge between drama and documentary, so to speak. And then a film can be categorized based on its cultural or social context, meaning the film can be based on how they explore specific cultural or social themes. These include films that address issues like race, gender, politics, or cultural identity. And lastly, a film can be categorized based on its aesthetic approach. Okay, we're talking of things like the cinematography, visual style, artistic choices, e.g. So specific examples now. There are some films that are surreal. Some are neo-realism films. Research into it. Find out what it means. Exercise. Make a list of 3 films in each of these categories, meaning 3 local content film based on their nationality or origin, 3 films that indicate time period. So you want to list 3 silent era films, 3 golden age films, 3 modern era films, 3 Nigerian classic era films, 3 Nigerian historical films, as many as you can, and then for each of the other categories. Moving on. I don't know, am I rushing? You can slow down, you can slow down the video when you're watching it. Yeah, I'm trying to cover as much ground as possible. Again, all of this, we've not gotten into the meat of writing script, but this sets the stage for what you're going to. If you don't get into the script writing mindset, there will be a disconnect between what you write and your craft. That's the reason why I'm taking time to immerse us into the world of how a scriptwriter should think, what a scriptwriter should know, outside of the specific writing part of what you do. Amen, somebody. Okay. Now let's talk about spec script versus commission scripts. We're done with categorizing scripts based on different categories. Yeah. Now I'm talking about, there are 2 major kinds of scripts. You have a spec script and a commission script. What is the difference? Let's just jump into it. So a spec script is you're done learning script writing, and then you practicing your craft, you write a script. Nobody told you to write it. You write it with the mindset of, I intend to sell this script to a producer. That is a speculative script, a spec script. You are speculating and hoping that somebody will buy that script. Different from number 2, a commission script, where somebody calls you up and says, I need you to write a script for me, and they pay you ahead for the script. That's a commissioned script. You just have that at the back of your mind. So you have spec script, which is what most writers write, and then there are commission scripts. There are times when you get commissioned. The best place to be is to write a commission script, obviously. Now let's go to forms of storytelling. I think we're beginning to come to a close in this section. Yeah, there are 3 forms of narrative storytelling. You have literature, theater, and film. Literature, meaning novels, theater, meaning stage, and film, yes, we understand what film is. Now, these are the 3 forms of storytelling. Um, and they are very different one from the other. How you write a novel is different from how you write for stage, different from how you write for film. Um, Literature is carried on in description. Yeah, the lifeblood of a novel is in the description. The better you are at the game of using flowery words to describe and evoke feelings and emotions, the better you will be as a novel writer. I think that is a little clear. Okay. Now, theater or stage, on the other hand, is, I think I've mentioned it, that there's a lot of talk in stage. And that is because that's how stage functions. Okay, so in a stage play, there's a plane crash. How do you want to depict a plane crash on the stage? It's almost impossible. So the only way you can do that is to get somebody talk about the plane crash, the effect of the plane crash, or literally simulate by telling somebody else what happened during the plane crash. But it's almost impossible to show the plane crash. That is why in theater or on stage, we do a lot of talking, because talking is the easiest way to pass across the message. It's a limited medium where there is not so much you can show. You have to say everything, which is the opposite of film. Film is a medium where you can show. I'm coming back to this. I hope it is sinking. Film is a medium where your power is that you can show instead of tell us. So show it, don't tell us. If you're telling us, that means you're doing stage. You're just using camera to record a stage play for us. Okay, so remember, 3 forms of narrative: novels, stage, film. Film is carried on in visuals. Okay, it incorporates visuals, sound, editing to convey narratives. And then the flexibility of a filmmaker is that you can explore different perspectives, you can explore different camera angles, you can manipulate time, you can create immersive experiences for the audience that is almost impossible for stage. So have that at the back of your mind when you write. You're not writing a stage play. Hello? You're not doing what? You're not writing a stage play. You're writing a film. A film should be experienced. So every time you put pen to paper to write, think first of the audience's experience and how richly you can make that experience be. I don't know if I'm speaking. Consider, okay, so this, what happens in the scene? He crosses the road because he's about to help an elderly person. That's the story. That's what you want to say. Question is, how can you enriching the experience for the audience? What extra can you put into this that they are saying other than is crossing? It's crossing, yes, but how else can we experience it? That is your job as a scriptwriter for film, because you're not writing for stage, you're writing for film. I'll see you in the next video.